Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Yeah, baby. It's so great to have you here. This is the Badass Counseling Show podcast. You have reached us. My team and I, we are the Badass Counseling Show. More them than me. I'm just sort of the interloper. It's great to have you here joining us. We are here to answer your questions, whether you are tuning in from Buffalo, New York, or from Grand Island, Nebraska, whether you are tuning in from Minnetonka, Minnesota, Paradise, Pennsylvania, or way down south, or even overseas. We have so many listeners overseas, from Vietnam to Belgium. We have listeners way down under Australia, South Africa. It's so great. We love being a part of this show because of all the wonderful people we get to meet. This particular show, before I greet my team here, I want to say that I'm sending this particular show out to all people in the armed services, particularly in the U.S. Coast Guard. I happen to have a niece who is in the U.S. Coast Guard, and she's in the preparatory school to be a rescue diver. And so this is a little shout out to my niece and her husband, sending some love your way, guys. Love you very much. And also to my nephew, who is on a Coast Guard boat off the coast of Florida, patrolling the waters off the coast of Florida. And so those two helping keep our country safe, I thank you. But to all people all around serving the armed services, please know we are sending love and lots of love. And we know you're away from your families, especially during this holiday season, or have been through the holiday season. Please know we send only our love to you. All right. And our gratitude. All right. Rob, how are you today?
Energy up, Sven. Come on, you sound a little sleepy.
Yeah, man. I've been dogging it. Now it's time to crank that shit up. We are here to answer people's questions. Why don't we just do what we came here to do, Daddy-O? All right?
Do it.
All right, here we go. Taking your questions. First one up out of the gate is this. This is from Brandy Blue 123 on TikTok. And Brandy Blue asked the question, how long does it take to recover from the trauma from a narcissist? Suggestions and on what worked. Okay, first of all, just so you know, on my show, we don't use terms like CPTSD and ADHD and narcissist. I'm not a psychologist. I do not touch mental health. All right, this is a soul counseling show. However, what we do in the case of when people bring up narcissists is I just flip out the words and I use the word extreme taker. I find that that's actually more helpful because narcissists, so many people have so many different meanings and definitions. Plus, unless they were actually a diagnosed clinical narcissist, which is its own separate thing, I find that this is a good catch-all. So, reading your question again, Brandy Blue, how long does it take to recover from the trauma from an extreme taker? And suggestions on what's worked? How long does it take? It takes as long as it takes you. However, transformation can go quickly the deeper you go. The real question, Brandy, is do you have the courage to go deep into all of the pain, the fears, and the bullshit beliefs that this person taught you to believe about yourself? That's the real question. You are largely in control of how fast it goes by how willing you are to feel all of the shit, to welcome up all of the pain and the fears, and to look at and dive into what it is that was driving you to go into this relationship, stay in this relationship, driving you to actually get out as well, but to really go into the whole equation. And so that amount of time that it takes is determined by how long that's going to take. Then you ask, what are suggestions on what worked? I think a whole lot of people following the show will say what has certainly helped is reading the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and you can get it at badasscounseling.com. There's a hole in my love cup. But the biggest thing, obviously, going to therapy can help, absolutely, with a good therapist. But a lot of people will tell you on this show, journaling helps. Starting to write out all your feelings, starting to write letters to the person of all your anger, all your sadness, all your rage, all your hurting that's going on inside of yourself. And the more you do that, the faster you're going to facilitate that healing. Because recovery, the reason recovery needs to happen at all is because you've got this stuff inside of you that has to come out of you. And until it's out of you, it's still in you. So you're trying to get stuff out of you. And that's why journaling, writing letters you don't send, that sort of thing helps facilitate that process. Next question. Thomas Langley asks over on TikTok, what questions would you ask when starting with a therapist to see if they're going to be a good fit? Well, part of this is a personal question because everybody wants something different, but you're asking me, so I'll answer the questions. What would I ask a therapist? I would honestly sit back. Personally, if you're asking me, I personally would sit back and I'd watch them. I'd just let them run the conversation. I would see what the hell they ask me. See, for me personally, the reason I run my business the way I run my business, those of you who know me know my counseling method. And if you don't know my counseling method, feel free to go check it out. Just go on Badass Counseling, read the counseling page. All opening sessions are between 6 and 7 hours long, mandatory. Every client is expected to write a 10-page autobiography, 10 pages or less, and submit it to me before the first session. I read it before the first session, and I don't charge for that. I study it, usually 2 to 3 hours. I don't charge for that. So I've already made $1,000 plus investment in you. That's a good faith statement. So you've already cut that out of your fucking bill. So, and what that means is when we have our first meeting, we can hit the ground running. Why? Because I already know your life story. You've just told it to me. So we're not wasting 6, 8, 10 episodes of me just getting to know you. All right? Most therapists don't do that. Why? Never thought of it. Lazy. Don't want to give anything away for free. Want to extend the sessions. And I'm not saying most therapists have bad hearts. I think most of them have very good hearts. But it's a lot of work doing what I do. And that's why I charge more. But also, it's just like, I just want to, my goal with every client is to get them off my tit as quickly as possible. To heal them as fast as possible. Why? It's a good business model. Why? Because if I can truly heal someone and do it quickly, like in months, not years, who the fuck are they going to fucking recommend when their cousin or their coworker is going through a hard time? You think they're going to recommend the fucking therapist who took 8 years and didn't really accomplish much, took 3 years and really they could have fucking jerked off at home and gotten about the same effect, forgive me. No, they're going to recommend the person who fucking actually got fucking results. All right. So what would I ask a therapist? I'd just say, hey, you know, what's your general method? Do you believe in going deep? Do you ask a lot of questions? That's one of the best things. Honestly, if I don't have someone who is constantly attacking, on the attack, and I don't mean attacking my person or whatever, but just somebody who's aggressive, in my own journaling, I'm moving faster than them. So when I was in my 12-year depression where I was wanting to end it, I can't use the S word on here. TikTok will cut me off. They don't like that word. But I had 12 years. I was in a serious depression where I wanted to end it. All right. And I was journaling constantly, working on my own stuff. And I could not find a therapist who could help me. Why? Because every therapist I went to, the stuff that they were asking me, I had already answered that. I needed someone who could push me. Fundamentally what I'm looking for, what I try to provide to my clients is this. What we fundamentally need is someone we can trust. And I don't mean trust like you're not going to tell my stories. I mean someone you can trust, that fundamentally that your salad bowl, the therapist's salad bowl, is big enough to hold my salad. That your vessel, the vessel that is you, is large enough to contain me, to hold me, to understand me, but also to know how to help. That you actually know what the fuck you're doing. And that would be based on recommendations and that sort of thing. But also that, because there are therapists who say, I don't know how to help you, or that it freaks them out or whatever. It's just like, gee, crickets. All right, but you want someone who's going to fucking push you. All right, next question. Here we go. Tammy asked the question over on Facebook. Can siblings have a relationship if one is still in touch with our taker father? Father's an extreme taker. I'm not now 5 years. Why can't I tell him off and get over it? And am I to assume the person you can't tell off is your father or your sibling? All right, there are so many things going on in this sentence. I'm going to try to just pull out the one. Can siblings have a relationship with one if one of them is still in touch with our taker father? Sure, why not? If you want to, it's up to two individuals. Do you want to have a relationship with each other? I am not now 5 years. Why can't I tell him off and get over it? I don't want to throw it out. I feel like I need answers. So have you actually gone into it, Tammy, and gone in seeking answers? Furthermore, why are you wanting answers? There's nothing wrong with wanting them, but why are you wanting? The question you have to answer is, for yourself, is what am I still wanting from my father? I'm assuming it's your father you're still wanting answers from. I'm betting you still want a relationship with your father. Deep down, the reason you're wanting answers is not just resolution, but you're wanting a relationship with your father. Why? Because in all likelihood, you're still wanting some sense of love, some sense of either acknowledgement of what your father put you through and the apology that goes with it, but especially more the acknowledgement of your reality and or love, sense of approval, sense of acceptance, confirmation of your worth. Because if you got any of that, the acknowledgement or the acceptance, the approval, which is so often why we keep serving a parent who's been bad to us, it's because we're still hoping maybe today is the day that they're going to give me that confirmation of my worth. Maybe today is the day they're finally going to accept me. Maybe today is the day. You're still wanting that. Why? Because then you can finally be yourself. Then you can finally feel confident. Then you can finally feel whole. Then you can finally live your life your way. In other words, your father still fucking owns you. You're not living your authentic life. You believe you are fundamentally locked in a jail cell that only your father can get you out of. And that's why you are holding on to your father. It's not just that you want answers. You're wanting something more from him. It's not that you're wanting a relationship. You're wanting love. You're wanting that confirmation of your worth. All right, next question. Italian Mama. Rob, I'm going to look forward to hearing any insights you might have on this one.
Okay.
Italian Mama asks the question, can a relationship with a 15-year age gap work, wait for it, if one wants kids and the other one doesn't? My answer to that question, well, Rob, I'm going to let you go for it. You want it, or you want me to go first?
Well, I speak from some experience.
Right.
I mean,
Rob came out of a marriage where it was a 17-year.
Yeah, and another one that was 10.
and another one that was
5.
Okay.
Yeah. Currently, it's 5.
Okay. So we got pretty much the resident expert on age gaps.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
The first marriage, there were 2 kids, and before I started getting serious with my second wife, I said, if you want to have children, that's nothing I could ever say no to. I'm 100% supportive if it's important to you and you want that. But I would only ask if we do, let's just have one, because I already have 2, and I'm not sure I have the emotional or the material means to support more. It's the way I feel about it.
Fair answer.
And I hope that's okay with you. Let me know now before we go any farther. And she said, no, that's great. I don't know if I want children, but absolutely we can just have the one. And so we did, and she's wonderful. But in the marriage, and after another year or 2, you know what? I'd like maybe have another one. What do you think? And that required several months of couples counseling, because I really didn't want it. And I felt terrible, taking that position, but it can be an issue. And my third marriage, I said the same thing, because she was young enough at the time to have a child.
You said
right
what?
There. I said the same thing. If it's important to you, tell me now.
And what'd she say?
And she said, I don't ever want to have kids. And so I said, okay, this is great. However, 4 or 5 years into the marriage, she thought, well, maybe we should adopt another child. And so we talked about it and came to the conclusion that was not a good idea. We had an exchange student for a year, and that
scratched the itch.
I took no. I took all the responsibility because she didn't want any responsibility with the teenager. So that kind of convinced everybody that it would be a bad idea. That's lucky because, that was my third divorce too.
There we go. So my response to this person, Italian mama saying, can a relationship with a 15-year age gap work if one wants kids and the other one doesn't? My response is you cite two different things in that relationship, two different things that you think may be a problem. One is a 15-year age gap. The other is one wants kids and the other one doesn't. Really, if one wants kids and the other one doesn't, the 15-year age gap is irrelevant. The 15-year age gap doesn't mean anything. If one person wants kids and the other one doesn't, that's a deal breaker thing. If I want kids, absolutely, and I'm unwilling to compromise, and the other person doesn't want kids and is unwilling to compromise, isn't the conversation over? It doesn't matter what the age gap is. The age gap could be 1 year. There can be no age gap. If one person wants kids definitively and the other one doesn't definitively, it's a done deal. That's a deal breaker. Now, if you're asking, can a relationship with a 15-year age gap work? Sure. But when you add in this variable of one person absolutely wants them and one person absolutely doesn't, now, are the two of you willing to compromise? Maybe I could have one, or maybe I'm willing to only have one. Well, if you can reach compromise, well, that's a separate question, as Rob talked about. But if one absolutely does and the other absolutely doesn't, done. End of story. I mean, there's no conversation. It has nothing to do with age gap.
Bigger reason for breakup than money, even, I think.
Kid stuff. Oh, yeah, it can be, for sure. And a bigger issue in divorce as well. As big, it's money and kids always. All right, next question. Janelle Smith over on Facebook asks the question, how do you stop a giver from giving to people who only take and don't give back or even be thankful? How do you stop a giver? Janelle, that implies that you're trying to stop someone else from doing it. The way you phrase the question. If it were you would have said, how do I stop from giving to people who only give and take? But how do you stop a giver from only giving to people who only take and don't give back or even be grateful? Well, you can't stop anyone from doing anything. If it's somebody else, they're doing it and doing it. My question to you, if it's somebody else, would be, why does it bother you so much? What's the real issue here? Because it sounds like if it is somebody else, you're in a relationship with somebody who's doing this and it bugs the shit out of you. Now, if it's you ask, I'm going to assume it's you for a moment. How do I stop from giving to people who only take and don't give back or even be thankful? Well, there are two ways to stop it. One is to proactively go inside of yourself and discern where the hell this came from and what's really driving me. And what's really driving me, when you're giving to people who only take and who aren't thankful, there is some greater core belief inside of you driving you. And it's in all likelihood related to the core belief that I only have value when I'm giving, and the only chance I have of getting love in return is by giving, even if it's not being appreciated. But the other way to heal from this, to stop, is to wait until it gets so bad. The mere fact that you're feeling this way, that these people don't give back and they're thankful, says you're very aware of it. And it's only getting worse, and it's going to get worse. And eventually the pain of it will get so bad, you will finally give yourself permission to stop. So you can either do it proactively, for which I recommend reading the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, because it's going to take you deep inside and force you to heal, or just wait till the pain gets bad enough, because it's gonna. This shit doesn't magically heal itself. All right. More to come right after this quick break.
My best friend made me listen to some podcast, said it had blown her away. So we listened to a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show together. All I can say is, wow. First podcast I'd ever listened to. Now it's my addiction. If you haven't done it yet, you need to subscribe to the Badass Counseling Show.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
All right, we are back with a live taping of the Badass Counseling Show. Here we go. We got so many questions coming at us. It's great. All right, just trying to pick out. Sometimes these get a bit long. Try to keep them short, folks, on YouTube and on Facebook. If you can keep your questions short, like one sentence or even two, you are far more likely to get your question answered, just because they fly by so quickly. I can't read the long ones. I'm getting a lot of questions firing at me here on all three platforms about how do I let go? How do I get these feelings out of me? How do I flush things out? You know, I just, when somebody just mentioned I lost a love or we had a breakup and I have all these feelings in me. How do I get these feelings out of me? And, you know, normally you guys have heard me say it 1 million times at least, and that is you got to flush it out, right? Journaling, writing letters you don't send. You guys have heard me say it 1 million times. But I want to look at one other piece of that, and that is if you're having to ask the question of how to get feelings out of you, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, all right? But what that indicates is you don't know how, obviously. But what that indicates is you've been going your entire life not knowing how to get feelings out of you. Getting feelings out is a natural process. It actually occurs naturally in humans. The only reason a person wouldn't know how is if that process were short-circuited, where the natural pouring out of feelings. If I hit my thumb with a hammer, I'm naturally going to scream and cry a bit and grow frustrated because it's the fourth time this month I've done it, and I'm going to be angry and all those feelings, right? And I'm flushing out those feelings. If my hunting dog of 13 years dies, I'm naturally going to cry. Of course, it's a normal feeling, right? If somebody punches my girlfriend in the face unsolicited, I'm going to feel very angry in that moment, right? Obviously. So all of these are natural feelings, but if I don't allow those feelings to come out, that doesn't mean I ever have to direct them at a person, but if I don't allow them to come out, they get packed down. So if someone's saying, how do I get my feelings out of me regarding loss of love or death of a loved one, what you're fundamentally saying is, I've never learned how. So what you are missing is, I want to get all these feelings out of me and they hurt and I miss my lover, or, you know, how do gosh, my brother's been such a jerk to me and what do I do about all the feelings of anger I have towards my brother or whatever it is. The mere fact that you're wondering how to get all these feelings out says your feelings about your brother or your lover or your friend or your parent, those really aren't your bigger problem. That's the acute problem that you're facing right now. But what that means is you have a lifetime of pain and fears inside of you packed in. If you don't know how to get them out, that means you haven't gotten out all the other ones. Oh, shit. Now you got to ask yourself, oh, shit. Well, then that means that is potentially part of the role that I have played in my relationships exploding is the fact that I have all this unhealed pain inside of me. I have all this stuff that I haven't flushed out of me inside of me. And it's easy to point the finger at the other person, but I got to say, oh, shit. See, this is why a lot of times therapists will say you should take time off between relationships. Why? To do healing work. But if you don't know how to heal from this relationship, that means you didn't know how to heal from any of your past relationships, from your friendships, from your childhood, from that career loss. That means you got a lot of stuff in there. And the more you get that out, the lighter you're going to become. And not only that, the more authentic you're going to become, which means any relationship you pick in the future is going to be reflective of your authentic self. It's going to be a deeper, richer, fuller relationship. And the fact that all the relationships you've had in the past have been reflected of a person who's been carrying around a lot of pain and fears and bullshit beliefs they've been taught about themselves. Something to think about. That if you're having to learn how to flush out pain, then you've got more in front of you. You've got more you got to get out of you than just this one pain that you're trying to work on right now. All right, next question. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Over
Rob,
on YouTube, Sven, Rachel asks, how can I show my partner that I won't push him away again after I have in the past? I don't want to.
Why'd you push him away in the past, Rachel? That's the real question. You got to ask that question for yourself. Why did you do it? Because if you haven't answered that question, why you push him away, what was really going on inside of you? Was it your fears? Was it your anxieties? Because sometimes if we're afraid of someone hurting us, someone leaving us, sometimes if our old fears and pains are rearing up, we'll push someone away. I just need to be alone. Go ahead.
She says, was scared of accepting love.
You were scared of accepting love.
And
so you
fear, she also said.
And so then the question, you scared, fear, right, same thing. Scared of accepting love, right. And why would somebody be afraid of accepting love? I'm afraid to accept love because if I let love in, the fear is that love might go. And first of all, I'll have to show you who I really am. If I let love in, I have to reveal my authentic self. This is radical honesty that I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Radical honesty is if I let you in, if I truly love you, I have to begin to show you who I really am. And that's scary. Why? Because you might leave me and that would hurt. So the fear is if I open up to love, that I might get hurt again. And so you push this person away because you were afraid to open up. And now your partner's like, why the fuck would I trust you? And they're right to think that. Now they're like, well, why would I open up to you if I might get hurt in the future? My real question to you is, yeah, but what have you actually done to heal from that old fear? That's the real question, because if you haven't done any healing work, it's still sitting there inside of you. That fear, what have you done with that fear? What's become of it that drove you to push that person away in the first place? All right, next question. If you hear more back on that, let me know, Rob.
Yo.
All right. Gimpy Heart says, my friendly kiddo, won't stand up to bullies. Any advice on how to equip or help him? And this is an interesting one, folks, because every parent has different values on what your child should do if they're being bullied. Okay? Every parent has different values on that. Gimpy value is, you've already told us by your question what your values are on standing up to bullies. You're fundamentally saying you believe a child should stand up to bullies. Okay? Your question was, my friendly kiddo won't stand up to bullies. Advice on how to equip/help him. So you already have an agenda. You want your child to stand up to bullies. Now, if you and I were in a counseling session, I'd say there's nothing wrong with that. You wanting that for your child. My question is, why do you want that? Why do you want your child to stand up to bullies? Furthermore, is it possible that the fact that your child is not standing up to the bullies and you want your child to stand up to the bullies, is it possible that your child knows that you want the child to stand up to bullies? Well, I'm guessing yes. You've probably told your child you want them to stand up to bullies. You've conveyed it somehow. And that means it is registering somewhere in the child. Whether you're saying it or not is irrelevant. Whether they're able to put it into words isn't the point. It is registering in the child that they are a disappointment to you. Why? Because they're not doing what you want. Anytime you tell someone what they should do, you really should this, or you probably want to think about this. You're fundamentally saying, basically, I don't like who you are. I want you to be this instead. You say that to a fucking child, and you might as well just fucking hit them over the head with a bat. Thanks, Ma. You don't like who I am. Thanks. I'm a fucking disappointment to you. Now, am I saying you're a bad parent, Gimpy Heart? No, not at all. What I'm saying is, again, why do you want your child to stand up to a bully? Now, there are times when we want to teach our children, but what if your child doesn't want to stand up to the bully? The simple truth is your child is scared. I'm just curious, why the hell aren't the adults solving this equation? I got news for you. When I was in, I don't know if there was a gal that, here on Facebook who had checked in earlier in the show from my hometown. We went to school together, grew up together, junior high, high school, etc. And I've known her 40 years at least. And when T.O. and I were growing up, I was being bullied in 7th grade, 8th grade especially, not so much 9th grade, by the boys a year older than me, Tori and Bob and Dave and a few other boys. And every morning I had to walk down a particular hall in our junior high school, and they'd shove me. If I saw them, I'd try to avoid them, but I'd have to go so far out of my way to get to my locker that some days it just wasn't feasible if my bus was late or whatever. And I'd get shoved around, or they'd see me in a back, and these were kids who were older, and I was big, I was strong. And they'd see me in a back hallway or something. I'd get punched in the face or punched in the gut or something like that. And you want to know the truth, Gimpy Heart? I never once stood up to those bullies. Never one time. Why? I was scared. No one pushed me. I don't know if I talked about it with my parents. I don't really know. But here's what I do know, that life went on. Here's what I do know, that, I played sports and so on and so forth. We ended up playing sports together in high school. The Dave, that one, he and I ended up being on the team. I ended up being a starter, and he was like a second teamer, I think. And then later in high school, that particular one, I got a call from him like 10 years ago. He needed counseling. Or I bumped into another one and grocery store or something like that. And he was just like all friendly and shit. Life goes on. So, and what do I do for a living now? I stand up for people for a living. All right. Victims and so on and so forth. So just because a person doesn't stand up to a bully, a physical bully, doesn't mean they're going to be some big wuss or something for the rest of their life, gimpy heart. You can still, sort of push your child to stand up to them. But how do you help your child? What I would say to really help your child is allow your child to talk about all of their fears, get out all of their fears and all of their anxieties and so forth, and then accept your child even if they don't want to stand up to the bully. Just say, it's okay, son. You don't want to stand up to the bully? That's okay. Or maybe it's your daughter. Say that's okay. You don't have to. And then inform the school and see what they can do to make it and not happen, assuming it's happening at school. Otherwise, if they don't want to do it, then teach them, But you can also teach them a lesson, just so you know, later in life, there are going to be times in life where you're going to need to potentially stand up to a bully. But if you don't want to stand up to this one, it's okay. Okay. I guarantee if I had brought it home to my parents, my dad tried to sneak into World War I or World War II at the age of 17, wrestled at the University of Minnesota. And I guarantee if I had brought up to my parents that I was being, hit by some guys at school or whatever, I guarantee they would not have pushed me to stand up to them. My older brothers might have. One of them might have, maybe. But I think my parents would have just said, okay, so what are you going to do to solve the problem? You're going to go talk to the principal, vice principal, that sort of thing. Solve your problem. What can we do? How can we employ this? How can we help out? But I didn't. And the problem went away and life goes on. All right, next question.
Living well is the best revenge.
Living well is the best revenge. Hard to teach a kid that at that point, but
I understand
you're right.
that.
But you're right. But help that child get all their pain and their fears out. And talk to you and know that they are accepted, even if they're not doing what you want, if they're not on your agenda, rather than conveying, I want you to be this person, because that's conveying, I'm disappointed when you're not this person. I'm disappointed when you're being the person you are now. I want you to be this other person. And if it's happening in this particular thing, it's potential. Your child is getting that message in other things. Okay. Next question. Rob's got one over on YouTube. Go ahead, Rob.
Sven Carey on YouTube says, I've been working on your book, but I had to take a break after chapter 16 because my depression had gotten so bad. But now I'm afraid to get back into it. Any advice on how to not let it get me down so bad?
Well, you can take it in smaller doses. But the bottom line is what the part of the goal of this book is to bring up all of the crud. So you feeling that sense of depression from the book, that's part of the goal. That's part one, is to bring up the pain and the fears and the bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself. But the purpose of the journaling exercises is to get it out. Phase one, bring it up. Phase two, flushing it out. That's why the journaling is so critical. If you're not getting it out of you, then you might as well fucking abort the book altogether. This isn't a book you think. The healing process is not one you just think your way through. People who say, I can think my way through therapy is just fucking dumb. That is dumb. You have to be getting the shit out of you. And I'm not calling you dumb. And I'm not saying you were trying to think your way through it. I was just making a tangential point to other people, okay? Just so we're clear, sorry. No, you have to be getting it out of you, okay? And so what that means is you have to be doing those journaling exercises and flushing. And there's even more journaling questions in the workbook. If you don't have the workbook, if you want even more, I added them to every single chapter, not just most chapters. The book's called There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and it'll kick your ass, but you got to bring the courage. And you quitting after, chapter 6 or 16, whatever it was, that's very common. I have people who read the introduction and they're like, holy shit, I need to take some time. Or chapter 1 and they set the book down for a month. That's okay. Some people say, I just read through it for the first time and then I went back and did the journaling exercises the second time I read through it. And I say, okay, if that's what works for you. I don't recommend it. But if that's what works for you, fucking go for it. As long as at some point you go in and you do those journaling exercises, because you are not going to get half of what this book can do for you if you're not doing those journaling exercises. All right, next question. Good job, Gimpy Heart. That's right. Following up on that bullying question, tell him you're not disappointed. But that not being disappointed, the real thing will come through what comes next out of your mouth and what your actions are. Because you can say you're not disappointed, but if you're still trying to push him to stand up, then you're saying you're not disappointed is bullshit. Because you're still trying to change his actions. And implicit in your actions is, I am fucking disappointed in you. So it's not just your words. right? You see what I'm saying here, right? All right. And I'm glad you're working on the school district to protect your son. I think that's fantastic. All right, next question. Here we go. Here's a good one. Randy Graves, frequent listener to the show. Randy asked the question, can you have a friendship with an ex work again? Or is it a bad idea? I'm going to allow the peanut gallery to weigh in here, folks. If you, any of you, have you had a relationship again with an ex? Can you have a relationship with an ex and can it work? Or is it a bad idea? My question is, have you actually done the work to heal what caused the problems in the first place? Have you looked at you? Have you gone deep inside of yourself and say, how did I contribute to the problem that was our failed last relationship? Furthermore, have you journaled about what was good about it? What let you down about it? Has the other person done their work on healing? And how do you know that? Other people weighing in. Rosie Girl says healing on both sides first. Amber says, nah, you can't. Suzanne is saying, nope. All right. I've got Jennifer saying, great idea if both have done the healing. Yeah, I think you're hearing the same answer over and over again then. You both got to be willing to do the healing and have actually done the healing. Michelle asked the question on TikTok, why would I want my spouse back who cheated? I don't know. Why do you? If you want me to speculate some answers, are you fundamentally saying I do want him back and I don't know why I want him back? Let me tell you why people often take back cheaters. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. In fact, if they've actually done the work over a long period of time and proven new behavior over a long period of time, not just promises, not just words, but actual proven trust over a long period of time. All right. But more importantly, if you've actually changed, that you've done the work to heal you and gone deep inside of you so that you can change. Well, what healing? Why do I need to change? Because you have to have changed so much that you're willing to stand up for yourself if they begin to slide, that you're willing to stand up for your wants, your needs. Okay. So why would somebody want a cheater back? Maybe they believe the person is healed and I've healed myself. And I believe that this is still someone who has a lot of good qualities and I want to build a relationship with this person, rebuild from scratch all over again. Or it could be sometimes people want a person back. Why? Because I want this person back even though they really hurt me. Why? Because if I don't have someone, I feel alone and I'm terrified of feeling alone. Well, why? What happens inside of me when I feel alone? All those voices, all those messages that I was taught about myself. I'm no good. See, here I am. See, I'm alone. See, I'm unworthy. See, I'm not good enough. See, I'm unlovable. All those voices churn and churn inside of the head. So it's better to have someone with me, even if they cheat on me, than it is to be alone with all those voices that torture me from inside. So there are any number of reasons why someone might want someone else back who's cheated on them. But the real question is, have you actually done the work to heal yourself? Because if you haven't, you're likely going to allow shitty treatment moving forward. And I'm not even talking about cheating. You're just going to allow shitty treatment, specifically allow them to slip back into old behaviors that didn't feel good to you. And I guarantee you, your relationship in certain ways did not feel good to you in the past. All right, next question. What have we got here?
Bob Kuban and the In-Men had the song The Cheater. Watch out for the cheater. He's going to build you up just to let you down.
Oh. That's a big one.
Before your time, 65, 66, somewhere in there.
Right before my time. Go ahead, Rob. Give me one.
On YouTube, Sven, Bands Fernie says, how to deal with my 20-year-old sister who always thinks we're against her, and we can't have a conversation about any change without being triggered.
Without her being triggered, presumably.
Apparently, yeah.
Right. In all honesty, someone who is that sensitive to anything and is easily triggered, if I'm being totally straight with you, is likely that sensitive for a reason. That's someone who has it. I mean, think about it like this. If you go into the ASPCA or you go into the dog pound or, you go and you want to buy a used dog, forgive me, strange term, but you know what I mean. And, okay.
Drive them off the lot.
That's right. Ban puppy mills. Let's all go to the pound and rescue a dog. All right. You go to a rescue. You're going to buy a dog. Now, if there's one over there cowering in the corner, now one of my dogs is a rescue right now, Oscar. And Oscar, to this day, still cowers at times. Why? Because Oscar was abused in his last relationship in the home that he was in. And what do? They cower, and he's sensitive. If whatever. There are different things that trigger Oscar. That dog, especially when Oscar was still in the pound. Why am I using the word pound? What's the word I'm looking for?
Shelter.
Shelter, right. What is this, the 50s?
Just here to help.
Dog catcher here with his butterfly net. So he was very sensitive. Why? Because he'd been hurt in the past. Your sister is sensitive because she's been hurt in the past. Whether you believe it or not, she does. That's what you're dealing with. It doesn't matter what you think the reality is. It doesn't matter what you think her reality is. All that matters is what she thinks her reality is. And you're wanting to have a conversation with her without acknowledging and fully, not even acknowledging, fully understanding her reality. If it is truly, truly at the deepest level, your desire to connect with your sister, I would get off of the issue of the day and I would go into an attempt to understand by asking her in the most sincere of ways, teach me what is truly going on. How have I hurt you? And this is something you don't do as a team, with the rest of the family team. This is something you do on your own alone. And in fact, you can even do it in advance and you can list out the things that you think you have done to hurt your sister over the course of your lifetime. And you can list those out and you can say those to her in person and you can say those, or you can write those in a letter. And then you can say, and I'm open to hearing what other things I have done to hurt you. And I am open to hearing it because I want a relationship with my sister. I miss my sister. And I realize that I have done things to cause a breach in that relationship. And anything I've done to hurt you, I want to take my share in healing because I know you would do the same for me. I love you and I want to be close to you. And when you are ready, I would like to do that. And I'm open to that. That's the best shot you have of getting close to someone who has been wounded. It's just like with Oscar at the dog shelter. You come with love, you come quietly, come understanding the pain that person has gone through and is still experiencing inside of them, and you come in peace. But in your case, you were one of the previous ones interacting with Oscar, so to speak. And you might have done things to hurt your sister, and it's time for acknowledgement, for atonement, for contrition. That would be my recommendation. The issues of the day or talking about, well, you coming for Thanksgiving, shit like that, or whatever, that is so not the issue. Somebody that sensitive has deeper pains that need to be addressed first. All right. Next question. Harriet asked the question on Facebook. Sven, are men that need constant validation on social media like people liking their dog posts or sunrise posts? Are they needing constant validation or attention? Sure. Why not? We all like a little attention. Yeah. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, how they act in a relationship may be different from putting stuff out on social media. You know, I mean, think about me. I guarantee whoever you are, encountering men that you're encountering who are putting stuff on social media, they have not put as much out on social media as I have. And so I am top of the list. In all likelihood, not as much as I have. I think I have 2,000 posts just in the last few years. So yeah, I'm as up my own ass as anybody. I like seeing myself talk. I run those constantly. I just like hearing myself. Anyway, Rob's choking over there. Somebody save him. So yeah, I mean, it could be that, but also it's just fun to put yourself out there. It's fun to have conversations. It's fun to connect with people. And it's just nice to have some human interaction. And that's just part of how the world is. All right. So then Amber asked a follow-up question to the one on YouTube, Rob, the one about, where I was comparing the situation with his sister who's so sensitive. I was comparing it to, picking out a dog at the dog shelter, or my dog Oscar, who was a rescue dog. Amber asked the question, so how do you continue loving, quote unquote, Oscar, or that person who's always wounded or always triggered or whatever, when he lashes out because of his trauma? How do you continue loving them? In all honesty, from a distance. You start by giving yourself distance. No one has a right to lash out at you. Okay? And what I would recommend in that case, Amber, that is a wonderful follow-up question. I'm so glad you asked that question. What I would recommend is taking the approach that I just took with the person up on YouTube. Who was it? What was the name of the person on YouTube?
It's all right. Bans Fernie.
Bans Fernie. What I would recommend is taking the approach that I recommended to her, and that is, or him or her, and that is basically laying out, this is how I hurt you. And if I've done anything else to hurt you, I want to have that conversation. I really do. And I'm open to hearing it, and I'm open to atone for it, just as I know you would atone for and acknowledge and want to apologize for how you hurt me. I am totally open to it. And then actually follow through on that. If they do not respond to that, if they do not want to talk about that, and then they continue to lash out, then you would definitely pull away. In other words, if you have made sincere efforts to own the pain that you have caused, and they have not responded, or they have not opened up and had the real conversation, that's when you know they're just lashing out in every direction. Now they are like a wounded dog that can't and won't trust anyone, and they're just lashing out in every direction. Okay, now here's this. One of the things I tell parents of adult children is that if you have a child who's, let's say, 20 or 30 or even 40, and let's say they're coming home for the holidays. They came home for the holidays, and whenever they're home, they're just always pissy. Oh, why are we putting Uncle Fred next to Aunt Tawny? It's just, oh God, I can't believe we're doing this again. They're just always pissy about everything. Or the young guy's always just angry about shit. What that really is they've got pain inside of them. They got anger inside of them, and they're just always bitching. But it's easier to be bitchy or angry up here on the surface because they don't want to go down and discuss the real shit, the real anger source, the real pain source that's driving all of this. It's anger. It's easier to just be bitchy. So when I say to you, Amber, go to your sibling or go to your lover, whoever it is you're talking about, who is just always lashing out because of their trauma, go to them. Put it out there. Apologize for the things you know you've done wrong. Tell them you want to have the deeper conversation. Okay? And if they still push you away or they reject it or they don't want to have it, then you know you're dealing with someone who just wants to deal up here on the surface, who just wants to be pissy and bitchy and doesn't want to get down to the real issues. And it could be either A, they just don't know how, B, they're just not ready for it yet, or C, they don't believe it even exists, or D, they're just terrified of all that pain inside of them. They're just terrified to go down deep. Okay, whatever the case, after you have given it sincere effort to genuinely own your shit, I mean really, really own it and feel it, and talk with them and listen to them about it. And if they're still rejecting you or unwilling to do it and they're lashing out, that's when you really need to pull away, because do not let anyone lash out at you because of their trauma. No, you're not required to take that at all, even if it's someone you love and really appreciate. I am going to take 2 more questions, and then we are going to call it a night, folks. All right. Okay. Someone asked how to overcome, David Calcano, how to overcome anxiety and depression. The quick and dirty way, read the book. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. I wrote it for this, to take you down deep into your shit, but you got to bring the guts, because it's going to completely kick your ass. I guarantee it. You can get it at badasscounseling.com. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. All right. I need my 2 questions. Come on. Here we go. Steffi asked the question, how do I deal with being a huge disappointment to my fiance? My question would be, how was it conveyed to you that you're a huge disappointment? I know that you didn't cheat, because nobody who cheats says they're a huge disappointment. They say, I cheated on my fiance. You're saying you're a huge disappointment. In all honesty, I would want to know. In fact, I'm asking you right now, Steffi, I want you to follow up. How has it been conveyed to you that you are a huge disappointment to your fiance? And if I'm being really, really honest with you, if you are a huge disappointment to your fiance, that says your fiance is conveying to you that you're a huge disappointment, either explicitly or implicitly, right? If they are conveying it either, and you know it, actually, I want to say this. Is this something that they have conveyed and you know it, or is this because of your own shit from your own past, your own fears, that you fear you are a disappointment? The way you state it, it's as if you know definitively, I am a huge disappointment to my fiance. And I'm curious, how are you a disappointment? But that really doesn't even matter. If you are a fiance, that means you're not married yet. You're asking, how do I deal with being a huge disappointment? You get the fuck out of the relationship. Why? Because if you have a fiance who's already hugely disappointed in you, you want to know what's going to happen? This person is only going to be more and more disappointed in you. And guess what's going to happen? Already, you said you messed up. what does that mean? Did you cheat on your fiance? What are we talking about, Steffi? Put it out there. I know you're ashamed, obviously, because you're dancing around it. I want to know, what did you do? How were you a huge disappointment to your fiance? All right. But for some reason, you're a huge disappointment. And this is only going to be leveraged against you. Their disappointment is already creating a power imbalance. Oh, here we go. You say, okay, here's why you're a huge disappointment to your fiance. I slept with an ex while me and the fiance was broken up. Okay, you're broken up. See, that's one of those right there. Well, you're broken up and you slept with your ex. Can I be really, really honest with you, Steffi? You're asking, how do you deal with it? You deal with it this way. The mere fact that you slept with your ex while you're broken up, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You were broken up. Hey, all bets are off. You can do that. But the fact that you jumped so quickly into bed with your ex says that you needed someone close. You wanted someone close. Nothing wrong with that. But that, when coupled with the fact that you feel really bad about hugely disappointing your ex, says you're wanting, or your fiance says you're wanting your fiance back. You're wanting him back. And he's hugely disappointed, which implies he's having some distance from you and you're wanting him back. You're wanting him back. So when you were broken up, you needed your ex close to you. And now with your fiance, you're a huge disappointment. You're saying, come back, come back, come back. You can't bear to be alone, Steffi. Your deeper issue, how do you deal with it? You need to go inside and you need to go down deep into what the fuck is really going on inside of you. Because what the fuck's really going on inside of you, I would bet my left testicle, if Vegas were giving me odds, what's really going on inside of you is that you have voices inside of you saying that if you don't have someone telling you you're wonderful, or at least someone with you, that you believe you are unlovable, you're not good enough. And that's why you are hanging on to men, or you need to jump to the next man. Once you have a traumatic breakup with your fiance, all of a sudden you need to jump to something else right away. And that's not intrinsically bad, but you start to line up these things happening in different situations. You're trying to cling to your fiance and, and so forth, and you jump to your ex. I'm willing to bet that you have voices inside of you that you are desperately trying to avoid. So you're asking, what do I do? What you need to do is, in all honesty, is you need to go inside yourself and you need to find out what the real beliefs are inside of yourself that are driving you to act in this way. But furthermore, what you're really asking me is, how do you get your fiance back? The best chance you have, if I'm just playing the ball as it lies, is you go to your fiance and you say, I did this when we were broken up. We had a traumatic breakup, as you just said now. We had a traumatic breakup, and I know that what I did hurt your feelings. However, we were broken up, and I chose to do this. Because the truth is, if you start apologizing for what you did, you two were broken up. So if I'm not mistaken, you sleeping with somebody else did not violate the terms of your relationship with your fiance because you were broken up. Therefore, you technically have nothing to apologize for. So if you start apologizing, you are now putting yourself in a position of weakness. You are now creating a power imbalance in your relationship. And that power imbalance will persist. And this person your fiance will, in all likelihood, leverage that power imbalance to keep you down and them up. And that won't stop because you will forever fear losing them. You are afraid of losing them now. Technically, you didn't do anything wrong. You slept with someone else while you were broken up. You don't have to apologize for that. And what I would honestly do, and I don't know if you have the strength to do it, I would honestly say to your fiance, listen, I slept with someone while we were broken up. I understand how that hurts your feelings, but I did not violate the terms of our relationship. If you don't like that, I understand. And if you need to move on, you need to move on. But I'm not going to eat shit over not breaking the rules of our relationship. Would it have hurt my feelings if you had done the same thing? Yes, it would have. But in the end, you would have been free to do it. Now Steffi tells us, but I lied to him about it, but I did end up telling him. Okay, you lied to him about it, which raises the interesting question. If what you did was so innocent, why did you lie about it? Because you were afraid to tell him because you knew he'd be fucking pissed about it, but you did tell him about it. So then the question becomes, which is he more angry about? The fact that you slept with the guy or the fact that you lied about it? Well, he's angry about both, but I guarantee you what he's more mad about in all likelihood is the fact that you slept with the guy, right? But if it were me, I'd be more mad that you lied about it. But either way, okay. So you told him about it. Did you apologize for lying to him? In the end, you've put your nuts out there. I assume you've apologized for lying to him, and you ended up telling him about it. Now it's up to him. You didn't cheat on him. You guys were broken up. It was a traumatic breakup. You went on. The serious truth is, though, you apologized for everything. Well, that's the thing. You shouldn't have apologized for sleeping with the guy because you didn't violate the terms of the contract. And you didn't tell him, as you said right now, because I knew it would crush him. Yeah, no shit. But that's why honesty is in such short supply nowadays, folks. We don't want to do the hard thing. Yeah, it's going to crush the other person. But we got to have the balls to do that. And you're never going to have an authentic relationship, Steffi. And I love you. I'm not trying to scold you here. But, well, and Louisa says, Steffi, you did nothing wrong. Technically, she did. She lied about it. So that is wrong. But she later apologized for it. And you knew it would crush. Yes, folks, breaking up with someone, telling them the truth, and doing all these things, the hard truths, yes, it's going to crush them. But that's what it means to have a real relationship. You have to have the balls to have a real relationship, Steffi. And in the end, you had to tell him, okay? But in the end, yes, he's angry that you hurt him and that you lied to him. Okay? But you didn't hurt him. He felt hurt by you sleeping with someone else. But you did not hurt him. Do you understand the difference? You sleeping with someone else did not violate the terms of the relationship. He felt hurt by you doing it, but that's not the same as you actually hurting him. And Steffi says, I do see the difference. Good. Now it's up to him. Listen, I apologized for lying to you. And it does hurt. And I can understand why it hurt you, fiance. But in the end, this is what happened. And I love you and I'd really like a relationship. And if you decide you don't want a relationship with me, I completely understand. However, I am not going to engage in a power imbalance where you pretend to have power over me or act as if you have power over me because you're mad. I will not allow that. And Steffi, if you allow him to have power over you because you feel bad and gee, you want him back, if you do that, respectfully, you're a fucking fool. That is a giant ass mistake. And that is an indicator that you got serious messages going on inside of you that are causing you to choose someone who wants to maintain power over you. You have some serious fucking healing you need to do. Get the book. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. All right, folks, this has been a fascinating episode. I'm so grateful for all these questions. We had an interesting mix. Rob, thoughts on today's episode?
Little things become big things, and as we just heard, big things can become bigger things.
Ain't that the truth, baby? Ain't that the truth? And you know what? Yet another call for greater honesty in relationships.
It's so critical.
It is, and it's hard because you know you're going to hurt the other person, and you know you're going to get yelled at. Or
I finally got there after a number of years. Yes.
You and me both, brother. I hear you on that one. You and me both. All right. The book is There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and the follow-up is Badass Wisdom. You can get them at badasscounseling.com. This is the Badass Counseling Show. We do 2 episodes a week. It is the lightning round episode. All of those come out on Sundays, and we do live counseling episodes. Those come out on Thursdays. We have tons of back episodes. You can get them on Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. I've got a great team here, and I want to thank my team, KC in the booth, but especially Rob the Rocket, who is just on point at all times. Rob, you get the final word today, my man.
Actually, it's Carrie on YouTube who says, thank you for all your wisdom, advice, and your willingness to share it with all of us.
You're welcome. And
he says, and that goes for Rob, or she, and that goes for Rob and Casey as well.
Well, good. Good. We are a team here. Absolutely. Well, thank you to everyone who has been tuning in from around the world, including up in the great country of Canada, all the way down to the southern tip, way down in Antarctica. It's great to have you tuning into the show on behalf of my team. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.